When Skyward Sword first released on the Wii, I was absolutely blown away. It marked the 25th anniversary of the Zelda series. It was the first Zelda game to have an entirely orchestrated soundtrack, and heck, it was just an all-around exciting time to be a Zelda fan. I spent hours soaring through the sky on my big red chicken and waggled my arms about until they wanted to fall right off my body. The game initially released to critical acclaim, but as the dust settled and the repetitive stress injuries set in, people's opinions quickly turned sour. Because I think it's fair to say that Skyward Sword is equal parts great and terrible, but all around it's mostly just a hot mess. But can I let you in on a little secret? I love Skyward Sword. Whew. Been holding that one in for years. I mean, despite its flaws, it still holds a special place in my heart, and I'll never grow tired of yeeting cats off cliffs. I love Skyward Sword, and I love it so much that I thought I'd do what Nintendo will probably never do and make the forbidden game. That's right. Let's make Skyward Sword 2! My first challenge was to come up with a player character that could be the hero of our forbidden sequel. And look, I like Skyward Sword Link. His facial expressions look just as confused and overwhelmed as I do every second of my life. But I can't help but think that Skyward Sword 2 needs a hero with a bit more pizzazz. And I think I know just the guy. The true hero of Hyrule is Groose. But to be honest, I was pretty nervous about trying to recreate my own Groose. It's a bit like trying to recreate Michelangelo's David. How can I ever capture those perfect lips, those golden eyes, and that immaculate hair? But I put doubt aside, and just as Michelangelo before me carved at marble, I connected Game Builder Garage Node on. And soon enough, I had my very own Groose. He's kinda terrifying, but damn, he can boogie. Okay, now that we have a hero worthy of Hyrule, it was time to create everyone's #1 favorite, definitely not controversial thing in the whole world. We're doing more motion controls, baby! I'll be honest with you, it was a nightmare to set up, but after hours of tweaking and tuning gyro movement and hinges, I had a workable motion tracking sword. And now that Groose could officially swing a sword, I felt like I needed something to truly put my motion controls to the test. So, in a Zelda tradition as old as smashing pots, I decided to mow some lawns. Now, it wouldn't be Skyward Sword if we just kept 2 feet on the ground the whole time, so I turned my attention to creating my very own Loftwing. I actually really love Loftwings. They somehow managed to be cute whilst clearly being inspired by one of the most terrifying bird species on Earth. Like, what the fuck kind of dinosaur nightmare is that? Now, because all birds are just government drones, I rigged up my Loftwing using a UFO controller, connected a bunch of shapes to it, and soon enough it kind of looked like a Loftwing. And because we have motion controls, you can even pet it too. It's freaking awesome! But as our long-abandoned Nintendogs know, there's only so long that you can scratch a virtual pet's belly. So after setting up my Loftwing's controls, it was time to soar through the skies. And now that we have both feet back on the ground, it's time to create some enemies. Zelda has some iconic enemies, like that horsehead boss from Zelda 2 and Tingle, but I wanted to create some simple classics. And after making a sphere that followed the player, I had bats, or keys as they're known in the Zelda game. And I also made some Deku Bubbas, which I always just called blue piranha plants until I looked up their name for this video. I also used to call the Deku tree the Dooku tree, so who even knows? The game was starting to have quite a few elements at this point, so to organize things a bit, I turned my attention to level design. I wanted the player to have to defeat a few enemies, cut through some barriers to reach their Loftwing, and then ascend to an island in the sky and fight a boss. There was nothing too sophisticated here, so it came together pretty quickly. And because I can't help myself, I even added a chest that simulates putting useless gear into your bag as a nod to Skyward Sword's never-ending item descriptions. I was scratching my head trying to figure out what kind of boss I should make to finish off my level, and for some reason my mind landed on Ganon's fights in Ocarina of Time where you hit orbs back and forth, so I set up a demo system which fired a sphere that you could then hit back at the target. But I still needed to decide who the boss would be that's flinging these projectiles. And I think Groose wouldn't mess around with weenie mini-bosses like Link. I think Groose would probably go straight to the greatest source of evil in all of Hyrule. And I gotta say, I think the greatest source of evil in Skyward Sword is Fi. Fi has a great design and I really wanted to love them, but after every jingle chime and utterly useless piece of information, the time for justice is nigh. So I created a giant Fi head as my big boss finale. I was honestly feeling pretty proud of myself. Considering the limitations, I think it's a fairly engaging fight. But I later realized that all I'd really done is make a Zelda skin for Wii Tennis. But hey, Wii Tennis slaps, so let's move on to the last piece of the puzzle and write some Zelda-inspired music for our game. I can barely articulate how much Zelda music means to me. The way that the Zelda series incorporates music into its gameplay has always captured my imagination, and it's probably one of the few things I missed in Breath of the Wild. So, wanting to do it justice, I opened up GarageBand and tried my very best to create a simple Zelda song. And just like that, the game is done! So I present to you Skyward Sword 2, The Adventure of Groose. that's my Skyward Sword 2 game. I'd love to know your thoughts on Skyward Sword. Did you also find yourself hypnotized by Impa's Cinnabon hair? And if you want to play my Skyward Sword 2 game for yourself, I'll leave a code in the description. But I feel like I should leave a health and safety warning here. My wrist is so damn sore from this game, and for the love of God, please don't break your TVs. And hey, if you enjoyed this video, then why not check out some of my other videos? I've tried making Metroid Prime 4, Mario Sunshine 2, and Mario Odyssey 2, and I have some other Zelda-themed videos on the channel. We've recently crossed the 300 subscriber mark on this channel, which it's still hard for me to believe. I don't even know 300 people. So a huge thank you to all of you for being such an integral part of this channel, and I hope you all have a great day.